There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG, gifting the gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to tell each and every one of you, thank you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again as we get ready to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourself. So if you've been tuning in to GNG Podcast, you know that we live and die on this motto here. We are all gifted differently to make a difference. And if you're just tuning in to GNG Podcast for the first time listening in, I want to encourage you with this. No one is ever too small to be a difference maker right now. And I know there are tons of different makers that's listening to us. Go ahead and let us know that you're there. Comment. Let us know how this episode resonates with you, because I got my man Derrick Pearson, Coach D's in the house, and we're going to dive deep on the theme Love Prince. And I'm telling you guys, go ahead and get your pen, your paper. I never steer you wrong. There's going to be a lot of amazing value. This is such a treat to have Coach on here. Coach Derrick Pearson, he is shining his light and get ready to jump and dive deep in a little bit more on your backstory of where did all of this fire come from to be able to be in a position in 2021 to have 30 plus years investing in athletes, coaches, being a speaker, best-selling author, sportscaster, and doing some amazing things and impacting and influence people today. So can you just share your story a little bit more?
Chad, the best way to do this, for me to describe it, is that I am a product of a community of love. See, my next mission in life is to create a book full of love stories.
Wow.
Simply, and I don't mean it in the traditional, hey, I met her, I dug her, we bonded. No, I mean, there were people in my life who made sure that I knew that I was seen, that I was heard, and that I was worthy. See, there were people that gave to me in ways that I had an uncle. I didn't have, my father wasn't in my house. As a matter of fact, I didn't know who my father was until I was 55 years old. And some people could use that as an excuse. Nah, that wasn't happening for me. But there were people who stepped up, who loved me. My uncle, Melvin, lived in Washington, D.C., would drive to Virginia to pick me up to make sure that I could go and see professional sports in D.C. So he would leave D.C., he'd go to work, leave D.C., drive to Virginia, drive me to a ball game, then drive me home back to Virginia, and then back to D.C. home to get ready for work next day, just because he thought it mattered.
Wow.
Like, to have that kind of power, to have a mom who worked her tail off. There were 8 kids in the house. That's a lot of work. You do them by yourself. But she managed to do that. My grandmother, who lived 2 streets away, who made a point and a purpose to feed me faith, to feed me love, to feed me, actually give me nutrition, and to tell you that, baby, every time somebody sets a plate of food in front of you, that's them loving you, and to give you perspective on being aware of when you're being loved so that you know when you're not being loved.
Wow.
See, once you know what love looks like, feels like, sounds like, when that other thing shows up, it's got no chance.
You can differentiate from it. Like, you're like, no, that ain't like what mama used to do, man.
No, like, this is like, wait a minute. This is not what, like, to be led by a grown man, loving you the right way, so that when you are approached by that dude that's offering something other than good, you go, wait a minute, this is not what I'm used to. This is not. And so for me, constantly, what I wanted to do as a player, there were coaches that guided me and told me, "You're special. You have this trait. Let's build from that." And then I had coaches who also said, "Here's all the stuff you're good at. Now, to be great, you got to work on the stuff you're not good at." And then you have to go, "Oh, okay." Like the difference between great players and elite players are the people who think of Jordan having to elevate his game and learning to shoot a jumper, LeBron having to expand. And you always go into those things where you go, he's super talented, but he outworks his talent.
Wow.
And the
say that again. Somebody need to hear that.
That the great ones outwork their talent. They're the most talented. So, but to change their elevation and location, and you got to change both. Like you can't just say, "I'm great, I'm going to elevate." No, I need to elevate and move forward. And all of the great people, and no matter what your talent set is, no matter what your skill set is, I was taught early that I've got to have my academics match my athletic, right? And so many get lost in, hey, you're a 5-star talent, but you're a 2-star academic. And that means you end up in a place where 5 stars don't belong. You end up down with 2 and 3 star. Like we all know the junior college guys who have as much talent as the guys who play on Saturday on ABC. But they didn't do the academic work. And so they end up at a junior college, which is fine, because that's the place where that's your notice that your talent and your other work isn't matching. You know the people where they tell you, "Look, man, I was better than that dude." You might have been more talented than that dude.
Yeah, with those academics.
That dude. Look, I tell my players all the time, if I get 2 players that average 20 points a game in basketball, the guy who will not cost his college coach $250,000 in a scholarship is the guy who won't fail academically. You don't fail once you're with 4 and 5-star talent because of your talent. You fail because you can't handle the rest of what's required. And so I wanted to give young people a path and a plan to figure. We tell kids, you got to do better academically, but we don't always tell them how and why. And so I went through, and I do this, Chaz, I do this all the time. I coached the way I wanted to be coached.
Wow.
Right. And so I said, here, if somebody had told me that academics was going to be the way that I was going to excel, I would have done that. But I said, listen, the 4.0 student and the 2.0 student share one thing in common. They both have 168 hours a week to get done what they need to get done. You get 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 4.0 figures out how. The 2.0 makes reasons why. And the greatest excuse that we all have for not succeeding at the level that we want to succeed is, I do not have the time.
Wow.
But the reality,
I know I've said that so much, been an athlete.
Right? But the reality is the 4.0 and the 2.0 have the same 168. So I created this 168. It's a plan where I make students actually detail what they do with their 168 each week. And within that, you start to identify that if I say academics are important and you have 168 hours, I know where to go to get that time. I know exactly. And usually it's in a pocket, right? We know that there's the 40 hours of really good academic work and the 68 hours that you spend sleeping because you got to recharge your group. How much time you spend in faith? How much time you spend doing chores? How much time do you spend studying? Because in those pockets are, if you want to get better at shooting free throws, you shoot more free throws.
Right.
If you want to get better academically, you got to put in more time. And then from that, I recognized that I needed to set boundaries for young people. And the boundaries were this. They set the standard on where they were academically. I then included the teachers or professors so that each week the students check in with their teachers. Hey, did I miss anything? Is there a project coming that I need to be reminded of? What caliber of work did I put in? The teacher then engages and says, young man, young lady, here's everything, right? Immediate feedback that week. I like what you did. I love this. I'm a little concerned about this. The teachers sign a form that tell, hey, look, we met. They're good. Let's go. That is taken to the parents. Now I got another fence post. So me, the kid, the teacher, 3 fence posts. Now I can close the door. I can close the gate because the parents are involved. And the parents always know whether their young person is how they're doing. And you know what happens? It removes that 23rd hour panic. Like, wow. Oh, I didn't know he was struggling. Oh, I didn't know that this project was due. Oh, I didn't know that they were missing class, because the reports are done weekly. And it's all at 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't take a whole long. And then to close, what's the simplicity is, right? That all of those reports are shared within the team. Shared IQ. Wow. Because the 4.0 student would help elevate the 2.5, right? Because they're taking the same courses. A lot of times they're taking the same class with the same teacher. Well, your IQ is pretty exceptional. My IQ is pretty exceptional. But together, we have elevated both of our games. And so within this study program, within this little project, a funny thing happens. 78% of the kids that I coach, and I coach football, baseball, basketball. So I'm a 3-sport coach at the high school level at some pretty stellar academic institutions. 78% of the kids that play for me, not only are student athletes, they're scholar athletes. They're above 3.5 in the GPA.
That's awesome, coach.
But peep this. This is where it gets really, when kids engage and know that they're loved and that they care for, they've got a direction. My kids also win 78% of their games because they're teachable. They're committed to learning. There's a process. They're accountable to their brothers. Look, they show up at practice with zero academic burden. They're not stressed about their school day. They're not. They're like, I got that covered. Let's get to work. And if they don't, now when I get that note from the teacher that says, hey, he's a little bit behind, well, the young man will say, I do not have the time. And I will say, oh, no.
Oh, man, let's go back to that 168, man.
Hey. Well, here's the thing about me. I like to be, I tell the kids, I don't know what you heard, but I'm one of those dudes that's going to do what he says. So when you show up here and you tell me that you're an hour behind, well, I got you every day for 2 hours. The first hour is for the first thing. We keep the first thing first, and it says scholar athlete. It doesn't say athlete scholar. It doesn't say student athlete. It doesn't say athlete student. It says student athlete. So we go to the side, you sit in your practice gear, and you get on this bench, and you not only get caught up, but you get ahead. And then your teammates know, hey, bro, I got you. You're not gonna fall behind no more. I got leaders in the program that are not gonna sit with you. A captain, All
right. But yeah, Coach, man, we unpacked it a lot there, and I love how intentional you are, because, me being a student athlete myself, being able to go to the next level, play collegiate football, this was always the case for me, even looking back. You really don't care how much a coach or teacher knows until you understand how much they truly cares and how much he or she truly cares. And it sounds like, listening to your story and how much your kids are gravitating towards you, is starting because you care about them and you truly want them to be beyond just their talent. You want them to be academically successful because, like you said, it says student athlete, not athlete student, and that is so key. And for me as a student, I wish, I had that whole concept down, but I was placed in front of some amazing coaches as well that continue to renew my mind on that whole instance. Especially, I even remember my freshman year in college, man, I was one letter grade from flunking out, but I can remember Coach Kent Briggs, man, really grabbing me by the shoulders and like, hey, we got to get this in order, and him putting me in study hall and saying, hey, man, you're going to spend this X amount of hours in study hall and making sure that you get that work done. And I thank him to this day, and I share that of how much he truly cared about me staying on the team, getting my grades to the right place so that I could perform, successfully on the field and off the field. It wasn't just always about on the field, because I have had coaches that, kind of exclude the whole academic side of things. Say, hey, you're a football player or you're a basketball player, you run track. I want you to focus on that and not put both of them together. But I like the approach that you're taking in that whole 168 hour, setting those boundaries, and also what you mentioned about, getting all your players together and really exposing the whole idea of like what's going on with the 2.5 GPA player and what's going on with the 4.0 player, and how can we get them to blend together and help each other, because a lot of those things, man, it can go isolated, if that makes sense. Every individual player is doing their own thing, and I've seen it with my own eyes where there's not a lot of communication. And that is so key. That is so key, man. And I love.
We talked about academics first. We talk about it last. It really is, especially at that level. It's what we need to focus on. And then the beauty of it is I'll find guys sharing notes about class, because they would show me the notes. They'd show me, okay, because they knew at any time I would ask them, okay, pull out these plans. Let me see what we got going this week, because if it's on Tuesday and you haven't made notes for Monday and Tuesday, you're not on it. You're not on it. I also had a rule that when kids were waiting for rides or waiting for practice to start, anytime I saw one of my student athletes in the building, in the school, whether it's in the locker room, whether it's in the gym, sitting there waiting for me, a book is open. A book is open. If you're in the car on the way home, a book is open. You on a bus on the way to school, a book is open. Understand that 5 days a week and 2 trips forward and back, if you're spending 15 minutes in the car both ways, that's an additional 30 minutes. That's an additional 2.5 hours a week for you to get your academic game right. And I would just, if I saw them in the hall and I'd walk to them, of course they'd have the book open, and I'm going, okay, what's on that page?
Yeah, so you catch them in a live. They just see
talk to me, right? Talk to me, right? Like, there's a simple, like, for me, my thing was, and they knew, and I was like, okay. And they knew if it wasn't going down right, that the captains would stand up and the captains would get it right before I got there. And if they didn't get it right, the captains were accountable. So it's forming a whole boundary of really good concepts and ideas, letting young people know that people care, not only giving them direction, but giving them the GPS to it. And,
I love that, Coach.
And setting the GPS. Yeah, and setting the GPS at 3. Look, you're not going to show up at 3.5 by accident. That has to be purposeful. That has to be intended. So do that. Just like you don't have an undefeated season by accident. You have to plan and to listen. Here are all the little steps that we're going to take. Here's the attitude we're going to carry with us. And most of the time, what I find, I had kids that are every military academy, West Point, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and such, major universities. when they get there, the funny thing is to a man, when they get there and a college professor asks the question, or when they are on their college entrance exam and they say, what makes you different than the next person? And they tell them, well, I already know how to manage my time.
Oh.
I already know how to study.
Dude,
Right?
that's so simple to say. It's a sentence that's so short but so powerful. Like, man, it's times that's something that me personally I struggled with early as an athlete, and I took the daily challenge on getting better as I went into my my junior and senior year of college. I'm kind of sticking there for a minute because in high school, man, it was just all over the place. I hit it. I made it through, but yeah, if you can get that young mind to really think about that time management. And it kind of goes into the next question of, I know it's a young man that's listening right now, or a parent, a coach who's really wanting to get that young man on intentional about time management. And I know you've kind of you dove deep into some other concepts throughout the show, but using the theme love prints and time management, is there a tip or technique that comes to mind to really encourage motivation to be intentional about the time management aspect?
It's the idea of love prints came to me. I was on a panel and late one night, and then after the panel ended, I sat and talked about it because the panel asked the question. They were talking about your carbon footprint. Your carbon footprint. So a trail of all of your those things. Right. And I went, that's good, but that doesn't strike as personal enough for me. I said, if we do this right, if we do this life thing right, we don't leave a carbon footprint. We leave a love print. We should leave a trail wherever we went. When they said, you know what, Chaz, they can say Chaz was here. You know why? Because love showed up. Look, there's some love. Like Chaz came here, he made an impression. That we intersect with so many people and we just don't pay attention to the intersection. Every intersection is purposeful. They were put there for a reason. And if you're present in it, then it allows me to see you rather than the mass of people. It's like I can focus on Chaz. And it's my job then to leave Chaz more covered in love than when I found him. And then when I cover you in love, and this is the beauty of love and its greatest process, is that when love is put on you, you then take it. The next person you deal with is going to get the love that was put on you.
Wow.
And that's how we process as humans, that as parents, it's our task and mission, sole task and mission, is to put so much love on our young people at home that when they leave the house, love protects them. Love covers them. It gives them a standard to work from. It's also a thing where that they're so covered in love that the other thing won't stick. The other thing doesn't have a chance. And the same thing happens in couplings, right? That your partner should be so covered in love that when that next thing shows up looking all shiny and pretty, love is already there. Love already lives there.
I never looked at it that way, Coach. That is so deep, man.
It's not even, that's the whole thing. It's like, nah. And then when that other thing shows up, they go, no, that ain't love and that ain't necessary. I already got it. As educators, as coaches, if the kids come to me and get love, Doc, and then I send them out of the class or out of the building more covered in love than I found them, then they will affect the community, they'll affect the family, they'll affect the home. The sole mission of all of this is for you to engage. Is this love or not?
Wow.
Like, it's simple. It's simple. And then use this universally. Use love as the GPS. Because when you get in trouble, the beauty of love is as the GPS at the end of this, everything has to be, is this love? You say, Chaz says, listen, I'm going to do this thing today. It's going to be nice. They go, okay, is this nice? Yep, okay. And then when you start to veer, you decide to change. They go, wait a minute, hey, Chaz, it appears that you are not going towards love. It appears you going somewhere else. You down the street in somebody's house. It's like, should we recalculate? Do we need to reroute? Because this is what we're doing. You tell me you want to go to college and be a Division I athlete. You know what's required. And when you're acting, when your actions take you off the GPS course, right? I need to be a 3.0 so I can go where I want rather than where I need to go, right?
Right.
Then your academic studies along the way, you get to constantly ask, is this taking you to 3.0? That's the mission. And if you're not, it holds you accountable. The beauty of a GPS is you said you were going, you said you were going to Notre Dame. This appears that you're going to Johnson Junior College. Are we sure?
We need to find an alternate route. Like,
are we sure we're going to do this? So it's the constant reminder for the young people. I asked the player, moment one, where do you want to play? What do you want to be in life? And we put it on paper and write it down. And then that allows me to hold them accountable. I use this question in coaching. I use it in life, in corporate meetings and partnerships. Do I have your permission to tell you the truth? And use it in business, use it in dating, use it in coaching, use it in dealing with parents. See, I get all the parents together and say, listen, first of all, I need your permission to tell you the truth. see, because then we can set the GPS. And if you ask me to tell you something that is not the truth, I now have the GPS set and it allows me to reset and say, hey, listen, that's not what we said we were doing. I need to be able to tell you the truth about your son. I need to be able to tell you about your daughter. I need to tell you the truth about the system and the way it works. I need to be able to tell you the truth about what colleges are looking for. To tell a player, listen, I need to be able to tell you the truth, that I'm not going to play with you this way. You deserve the truth. Let me tell you the truth. In a relationship, it's the same thing. Listen, sweetie, I got something to tell you. There's that old part of me that would go, the truth ain't happening right here because it ain't worth it. But no, I need permission to tell you the truth so that it maintains us and keeps us going in the direction. So,
wow, Coach, man, this is such a treat. Whoever's listening to this right now, hopefully you took my advice and got your pen and paper. But if you didn't, it's okay. Pause it, please, please. Get the paper, go back, re-listen to so much gold and jewels and diamonds that Coach is sharing here. And gosh, man, I know you're definitely making an impact, and I so much love how you said, the people that you're around, impact them, cover them with so much love that whenever they go out into this world that creates so much trauma and drama and chaos and steers us away from our true identity, they're covered so much. And in my mind, I'm thinking of this force field of love and this like stuff is just propelling off of them. You know what I mean? It's just like Coach D, man, he shows so much love. Chaz shows so much love. Whoever's listening, you show so much love to your children, to the people God put in your path, that they are covered with that force field. And obviously, the scripture tells us we have to renew our minds. We have to refuel and get recovered again at times. But man, I really love that whole concept of how you said that, Coach. Man, there's no better way of putting that.
Yes, it's funny too, because my players and my friends have these two memes that they share all the time. One, I don't know if you've ever seen the one with Shaq and he's just smacking away negativity. Like he's like, Shaq is like, nope, not having it, not allowed. And the other is Neo from the Matrix, where the bullets are all flying at Neo, and Neo just goes. That's the power and the blessing of love at its greatest vibrancy and effect. Like when people talk about we vibing, that vibrancy allows me to rebuke and deny anything that is not about my purpose, direction, and path. And to give young people permission to be great by giving them the tools to protect themselves and the things that they care about, to be able to control the moment you tell teenagers, grown-ups, you be a grown man, to tell you that you have permission to put everything else down and go get your greatness. Like, there's literally no excuse. Here's the beauty and mission and task: to be able to tell the people you care about that there is nobody in your line but you. All the things that have been written about you in advance are for you, about you. It requires some matriculation, but here's the thing: nobody can stop you from getting what is yours except for you. There's nobody else in line. There is no other competition. There is nobody to compare yourself to. It is simply you being freed up to say, I need to save money. I need to redirect my time. You know what? I can't give all of these women all of my time. I need to give somebody my good time. I need, because I can't get good if I'm not giving good.
Oh,
see,
wow.
Right? You said, wait a minute, you didn't tell me that it's much more fun. Fun is not the GPS. It never has been, never will be. Fun is okay. Guess what? If it's love-based, it's gonna be fun. Ain't no drama attached to it. See,
There's a time and a place for everything. Man. You have to be in your season of being intentional about staying on that GPS and making your dreams a reality. And that's kind of steering into this next question, Coach. And obviously, GNG podcast is based around a focus. There's many viewers, but the focus is providing tips and techniques for young males as they strive through growing and personal development. You've killed the game already. You dropped the mic a long time ago on that personal development. But I'm led to ask you this. So, what tips or techniques do you have for that young male who's struggling academically? They're talented, but they've been truly struggling. And you gave some things as well. But leading up to towards the duration of this show, they're struggling academically. They're living in a poverty environment where there's not a lot of consistency with positivity and love being shown. But they do have talent, and they have what I like to call that seed of greatness inside of them that we all have, and they showing some signs of bringing that true fruit, that God-given fruit and talents to pass, but it's inconsistent. Is there just a motivation that you can give them right now to get back on path? In how they, to have that background of an environment that's not truly, getting them on the right path to getting that scholarship or going to college, but they do have that potential. They just need some amazing words from you. What would you say to get them on that right path?
Constantly get up. Get up. Get up. The place that your location is not your destination. See, you don't have to stay where you are. It's okay to be where you are right now. Just don't get your mail there. Right? Don't let it be permanent enough. Yeah, don't let it be permanent enough to get the mail there, right? If you settle in to that place, listen, you're gonna go to class every day and you have that time within that class to focus. And that is not shared time, that is your time. That's your investment in you. Again, repel everything else. If you're in that class for 40 minutes, it's you, it's your laptop, it's your pad and pen, and you make notes. And you have every permission after each class to just spend another 40 seconds with that teacher to make sure that you got all the nutrition of what they were feeding you, right? Go and ask. You know what? Don't ask the cute girl what's she doing this weekend. Ask the smart girl what she got from that. See, you can go through, ask your smart friend whether you missed anything. And then when you go home and you have a moment, don't go on Twitter, don't go on Instagram, don't do that. Go back into your notes. Look, all of that's happening. It's coming. There's nothing to worry about. You're not going to miss anything. What you can miss by being over there is missing your greatness. And Instagram is never more important than you being able to take care of you and your family. See, all the social media apps, look, I was that dude. I like cute girls. But when I figured out that cute, smart girls was the way, right? That I take your time and do the thing that's most important for you all the time. All the time. Don't love you some of the time. Don't work for you some of the time. This is an all the time sort of business. That's your store. You're the only, look, people talk about, I'm an entrepreneur. Are you selling yourself? Are you investing in yourself? See, young people don't control anything else. They control what's in their content.
Wow.
They control that. Like nobody can, again, ain't nobody in your line but you. The line is waiting for you to move. Like all that stuff is there. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have time. Yes, you do. I don't have what? Yes, you do. Remember, that's the proverb. They're way makers. See, find your way, and find your way. It's not. Don't miss it. People make excuses, but they make a way, and it identifies who you are. And again, remember, don't tell me you want to be great. Show me. Action is required. You can't just sit and say, "Man, I'm gonna have some money." You better go get it.
Yeah, you gotta move.
It ain't gonna show up, but it ain't gonna knock at your door and go, "Yo, man, it's money. Here we go."
Coach, man, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for being on GNG podcast and just bringing massive value, man. I'm so pumped about all this, and I know whoever listening, they've definitely took some things that you have shared and going to take the daily challenge on implementing it in their life and making it a lifestyle thing, because I think that's the whole journey that I am taking, and what I encourage other people to take is making all of these tips and techniques of personal growth a lifestyle and not just a goal, if that makes sense. Because sometimes we can get to a space and then we gotta look around and be like, what's next? But if we can make this a journey and make this lifestyle oriented, that's when the real progress takes place. But Coach, I know there's somebody's listening like, I want to get more in front of what you're doing. I want to know what you have coming up in 2021. Can you share your contact information, some things that you have coming up that we can be praying about, supporting you on? And yeah, the floor is yours again.
Here's what's funny with that. One, I'm easy to find. Just my name. All my social media is my name. As I said, my store is me. My business is me. Loveprints, loveprints.us. LOVEPRINTS.US, loveprints.us, or just put in my name and it'll come up. Here's the beauty of being love in progress is that the constant movement keeps happening. I do a radio show here in Lincoln, Nebraska, a sports show covering Husker athletics and sports in general. Working on 2 different other book projects that I need to go ahead and launch. There's so many beautiful things in order. Again, they're so big that I have to hold them in confidence, but just know that love out loud is the process. That
I like it.
Just to understand that the only regret that we have is not telling people or letting people know that we love them. Our only regrets are it's loving somebody and go, man, I thought you knew I loved you like that. And no, love out loud. Take time in your mission, in your day, in your time. Plan for it. Go on your phone, find 5 people, text them, 5 people you care about. Write a letter, send an email, make a phone call. Be active, because everything that's going forward for me is a matter of a direction. When my father-in-law was here on this earth, God bless him, he gave me this to walk with, and I walk with it all the time. He says, don't worry about me, but when you need me and you miss me, look forward and up. That's where I'll be.
Wow.
Because that's where love is. When you're not sure, when you reach an intersection, when you reach an impasse, choose forward and up.
Wow. Coach, I love that. Again, it's been such a treat. Thank you for being on GNG podcast. I'm so excited, man, that I have this relationship with you and have you in my path and have you as a brother. And guys, I'm just so excited what God has planned moving forward. And definitely thank you for sharing everything that you have. And guys, I'm telling you, more abundance is coming, and I'm just excited to be on this train with you, going and looking forward and looking up. That's the ultimate goal and the journey that we're taking. But thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And I want you to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I want you to do 2 things for me. Keep that crown on your heart. And please remember this. We are God's echo. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.